So let's get going. So good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, happy International Women's Day, and you know, all the other things that are going on in the world. I hope it's a good it's good where you are anyway, and that you've had a nice weekend. These Magic Makeup Mondays are really designed to give you insights, tips, techniques, things like that, to help you to do the very best with your makeup that you possibly can. So we've called this morning how to be your own makeup artist, and I've come up with about 10 things that I think impact on the degree to which you are able to do a really good job when it comes to doing your makeup. I'm going to go through those, and then I'm going to hand over to Sally, who's going to talk quite specifically about equipment, tools, brushes, how to use them, how to get the best out of them, and all those kind of things, which we hope you'll find useful. I actually did a makeup course. I think some of you will know this story. So I came up with the idea for Look Fabulous Forever. I was a total beauty outsider, not an insider. I knew nothing about the beauty industry, but I did know about makeup because I'd used it every day for 50 odd years. No, not that time, a long time anyway. And yeah, 50 odd years at that time, yeah, because I was 65. I'd probably put makeup on every day since I was 15. So I knew about makeup and what worked for me, but actually applying it to somebody else, of course, I didn't know how to do that. So I enrolled on a makeup artist course, and I was the oldest person in the room by a long chalk, including the person running the course. So most of the people on that course were in their late teens, early 20s. They were all female, and they all wanted to do things like work in television or films or on makeup counters and so on and so forth. So it was really, really interesting. I loved the course. I loved being with this group of brilliant young women, and the person running the course was fantastic. She was excellent. In fact, I used her as a makeup artist when we did our first set of photographs for the business. So I learned a lot on that course, even though I'd been applying makeup to my own face for, as I said, going on for 50 years. And I suppose it's, you know, over the course of running Look Fabulous Forever for 7 years and making all those videos, what I've wanted to do is to help women to become a lot more comfortable and confident when it comes to putting their own face on, using the right products, and also using the right techniques. So as I said, I've come up with these 10 things that I think impact significantly on how good you look when you've actually put your face on. So the first thing is a big one, I think, and that's time. I would like £1 for every time a woman has said to me, "Oh, what a faff," when I've described the process of putting makeup on. And I think that this idea that makeup is a terrible faff, it's a nuisance. It's a bit like men having to shave. You know, it's a chore. It's something that you've got to get over and done with as quickly as possible. Now, I think that part of the attitude to that is that when you're putting your makeup on, you're entirely focused on yourself. So you're really having a few minutes, because 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you decide to take, of me time. This is just for you. You're in a pursuit where you're cutting out, you know, all of other people's concerns, and you're concentrating on yourself. And you'd be amazed at how many women don't believe that that is allowed, that you are not allowed to spend time on yourself in that way. It's too indulgent. So so the what a faff is part of that. And I just think that part of being a good makeup artist for yourself is giving yourself permission to spend that time on yourself. The good thing about it is, and I feel this very passionately, do it once, do it well, don't touch it again. You know, you don't have to spend any more time than that 10 or 15 minutes for the rest of the day. And when we introduce our long-lasting lipsticks, even your lipstick won't need refreshing more than once during the day. So I just think time, just give it time, and that will depend on how competent you are, how you know, how well you are able to apply it. But don't skimp on time. Second thing is attitude. That's partly what I've already been talking about. Now, if you have the attitude that makeup is something trivial, unimportant, and a bit, I don't know what the word is, vain, then again, your attitude is you're going to be coloured by that attitude when it comes to putting your makeup on. Now, I think some people find that there's a big dichotomy, and somebody like me, I'm a pretty passionate, feminist. I love International Women's Day because I really believe that women are need to be given equal treatment to men. That's what I think of feminism as being. But how can somebody like me who champions women be vain enough to think that makeup's important? Doesn't that run counter to that belief? Well, I actually don't think it's about vanity. I think it's about loving to look the very best that you can, and makeup is the most brilliant way to do that. It's instant fix. So I think if your attitude to it is very embracing, it's not about vanity, it's just about saying, I'd like to look my best, and there's nothing wrong with that, and then giving yourself permission to do it. The third thing is practice. Practice makes perfect. It is a skill. It is something that you need to work at, in the sense of trying different things and so on and so forth. I love the fact the other day on Super Troopers, somebody called Tricia Armitage, I don't know whether she's on the call, but she'd experimented with some techniques that Sally and I have shown you with eye makeup, and she put a photograph of herself up and said, I'm off to Tesco's, highlight of the day, shopping in Tesco's, and I've tried a different eye makeup technique, and she looked fantastic. So good on you, Tricia, for doing that, which brings me to the fourth thing that I wanted to talk about, which is creativity. I think makeup artists, the clue is in the word artist. An artist creates beautiful things. An artist, somebody who enjoys visually making something look good. So if you're your own makeup artist, you're saying, okay, here's the raw material, here's the canvas, what can I create on this canvas? And having, like Sally, done hundreds and hundreds of makeovers, I can honestly say that no woman has ever looked worse as a result of having makeup applied to their face. They've always looked better. Now, better is is a relative concept. Who's to say they look better? Well, I think most of us know that a bit of colour and a little bit of concealing in the terms of blemishes and skin tone and all that sort of stuff really does make a difference. And I know I get out of bed every morning, look in the mirror, and I'm really thankful that I've got makeup to do its magic. Light, Sally talked a little bit about this last week. I don't think you can ever put your makeup on properly if you haven't got really, really good light. I've got a big, sort of bifold doors thing in my sitting room, and I sit in front of that with light fully on my face, and I need light more now I'm older. My eyesight is such that in dull light now I find it very difficult to see very clearly. So light, the more light the better. And if you're putting on makeup on at night, again you have to think about the light coming direct onto your face. It comes from the side, you'll get shadows, and you'll have all sorts of things. Something's just popped up on my screen. I'm going to try and get rid of it. I hope I don't disappear. I haven't disappeared. Okay, next thing is mirror. And again, Sally talked about this last week. Really, really important. Magnifying whatever you need to see very, very clearly what you are doing. The bigger the better, so that it's framing you. You can see this bit so that you're doing it with as much clarity as you possibly can. The next thing is tools. Sally's going to talk to you about that in much more detail, but I don't think you can, if you look at a makeup artist, if you see them in shops, you often see them in shops and on makeup counters, they've often got these belt things around their waist, and they've literally got 40 or 50 brushes in that. Now, you don't need 40 or 50 brushes, but you do need quite a lot. I'm going to show you mine. So I've got them. I keep my brushes in this, which we sell. Can you just check, Sally, that we have got these for sale? So we sell these. So this is mine. I actually scrubbed it this morning because it was a bit manky. These are the brushes that I use, and you can see that this brush holder, which has got 8 compartments, actually takes a lot more than 8 brushes. But I keep them in there because they're all in one place, and because they are kept in good condition like that. Or keep them in some kind of pot and make sure the brushes are sticking up, not down, because obviously you don't want to splay the edges of the brushes. As I said, I like to have lots of eye makeup brushes and extra, and I like a couple of those extra big fat ones, clean ones that I've used a while. I don't wash them every day. I'll talk to you a little bit about that afterwards. The next thing that I've come to in my list of 10 things is occasion. So obviously makeup for every day, taking the dog for a walk, doesn't have to be very complicated, nor does it have to be very, glamorous. But if you do want to push out the boat, you've got a special birthday, or let's face it, when we come out of lockdown, my goodness, every day is going to be a special day. So if you've got, a lunch with some friends, or you're going out for the evening, then obviously you want to be able to somehow adapt that makeup and up the ante a bit. We're going to do one of these Magic Makeup Mondays on how to do that, go from daytime to nighttime, because we think, Sally and I both think it's something that's really useful to know. So occasion is important to consider. The next is competence, and that goes back to practice. Some of you will be better at this than others. There's no question that competence will vary, but again, you can increase your competence very significantly if you take the time, the trouble, you've got the right attitude, and you actually put the time in to practice. And the final thing is technique. So I hope, this is what I learned on that makeup course, is that there are hacks, they call them beauty hacks. There are all sorts of things that if you're in the know, you can just do. And whenever I have my makeup done by a makeup artist, so Julia Biddlecombe does mine, she's been on a call with me. You can find that video on YouTube. So she did a Tricia talk with me. So Julia Biddlecombe is a brilliant makeup artist. She did the Duchess of Cornwall's makeup for her wedding. Imagine having to do the Duchess of Cornwall's makeup for her wedding. I mean, for goodness sake, millions and millions of people were going to see it. And she was also dealing with somebody who was extremely nervous, as you can imagine. So a couple of circumstances there. I wouldn't have liked to have been that makeup artist doing that. But so Julia is absolutely brilliant, and she often does my makeup for photographs and things. And I watch her like a hawk, because I know that she's really, really good at what she does. So we are doing the same with you, Sally and I, giving you as many tips and techniques as we possibly can, so that you, next time you pick something, you think, I know what Tricia said. She said, or Sally said, this is a good way to do this. So I hope that basic overview there is helpful to you. I think the big, of those 10, I would single out time as the most critical. I think most people, most women, put their makeup on as a slap it on process. Now, I might be doing you a huge disservice, and several of you might be sitting there saying, how dare she? I really do take the time and trouble to do it properly. And if you do, well done you. But if you are a bit of a, oh, will do, slap it on, only the dogs are going to see me today. But, you see you. And that's the point. You see you. I live alone. I haven't seen many people for the last, getting over a year now, apart from on Zoom. But I still take the time and trouble to do it, because it makes me feel better. It makes me more like me. So anyway, like I said, I hope you found that useful as a musing on the whole thing of the important things to consider when it comes to putting your makeup on. So what I'm going to do now is pass over to Sally, and then she's going to pass back to me. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about cleanliness and how to keep your tools and things in best possible shape. So over to you, Sally.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you. I thought that was really, really I absolutely agree with everything you say there. And as a makeup artist, my job is to teach ordinary people who maybe aren't as confident in makeup to apply. So not everyone is lucky enough to be able to have their own personal makeup artist every day. They're not a celebrity, the queen, etc. So I think being confident to be your own makeup artist is invaluable. And I absolutely agree with the time, having time. For me, putting makeup on in the morning is my little bit of relaxation. I put the radio on, I listen to the radio, and I just love doing it. It's a bit of creativity and me time. So I think that what Tricia said is absolutely right. Brushes, I want to talk to you about brushes today, because when I do makeup lessons, I always tell ladies to come with the tools that they've got, however old they are. What is it that they use? I have a good look at their brushes. So if you've got brushes that you've had you might have brushes you've had for years. Get them out, have a good old look at what you've got in your drawers. And good makeup brushes will last you years and years and years. I've got, as a makeup artist, I've got that roll that I wear around my waist. I've got lots and lots of brushes. But the Look Fabulous Forever brushes are brilliant for personal use. And like Tricia, I've got the brush roll, which is for sale still. You can get the brush roll on its own, or you can get it full with all the brushes in, or you can buy each brush separately. So I thought it would be helpful to go through each of the brushes in the order in which I personally use them. So I've actually done all my makeup except for my lips. My lips look a bit weird because I haven't put any lipstick on, because I'm going to just use the lip brush at the end to show you that. But I'm going to go through each brush. Now, the first brush that I use is actually the first thing I do, as you know, is to use the primer. I don't use a brush for the primer. I use my fingers to put the Smooth Like Silk face prime on when I'm doing my makeup. But I do use a brush for my foundation. I remember when I very first trained as a makeup artist back in 1989 I went to Joan Price's Face Place, which we talked about, and did my very first course there. And I was introduced to a wealth of brushes and sponges. I always used to put my foundation on with my fingers up until then. And I got introduced to sponge, brush, the whole kind of different ways of doing it. You can use either. I actually love the Look Fabulous Forever foundation brush. It's brush number 3. Now this is one that I used this morning. So what I tend to do is put my beauty balm, my Light Look beauty balm, and as you know, I mix a tiny bit of the Continuous Cover foundation and a little squirt of primer, and I make a little sort of mud pie on my hand using the brush. I mix them together. I actually like putting it on to a brush that isn't totally clean. So when it's already got a little bit of product on from the day before, I don't tend to clean this every single day. Tricia's going to talk about cleaning later. But my foundation brush, I find it goes on well when there's actually a little bit of product already on it. And I start in the middle and I work outwards. Now, the fact that it's angled allows you to get really well into the areas around the eye, around the nose. And I then do that, you can sort of see it sort of slightly bends. And I find that works really well to be able to really buff the product in to the skin well. That's what a foundation brush will do. It will make sure that the product is buffed in. And you can use a second one if you want to indulge in having two, which is cleaner, to really buff it in. The more you buff in foundation, the smoother the effect will be, and it won't look cakey. Nobody wants foundation to look cakey, and that's where a foundation brush works brilliantly. So that is our foundation brush 3. Start in the middle. If you start here on the outside, you will have just too much of a contrast. It will look too heavy. Your majority of the product in the middle, blending it outwards, so that it shouldn't look as though you've got a line. You really want to make sure you're blending around the jawline. You can use fingers, and I sometimes use my finger afterwards just to really pat it in, but I just feel if you are a painter, you don't tend to put paint on the wall with your hands, you use brushes. So if you've never used brushes, try them, because it makes a massive difference to the way it will look when it's on and the way it will last. Definitely lasts all day when you use brushes. So the second brush that I use is our concealer brush. This is our brush number 4. This is actually a really nice, quite a stiff brush. And this is brilliant for putting larger areas of the concealer on. Now, I have already put my concealer under my eyes. I do my foundation first, then I take a little bit of my concealer, number 1 or number 2. I use number 2 usually, unless I'm really dark, and then I'll use a number 1. And the fact that it's quite stiff allows you to sort of stipple. I use this stippling action to put concealer on rather than dragging it. You don't want to drag anyway around the eyes. The eye area is very, very delicate. So I put it on, and I also put a little bit on this area that gets very bluey. And then I use my ring finger and I just press and tap, 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 tap to melt the product in. So this is a brilliant product for a brilliant brush to use on larger areas where you might want to conceal. I also use this for putting, after I've used my eye prime, so smooth out eye prime would be the next thing I would personally do. And I would put this on with the inbuilt applicator, the smallest amount, just across the lid. But what I then do is I tend to use the same brush. I just wipe it on a tissue and then I blend it really well across my lid. And that will you'll find then it doesn't go bitty, and it's the perfect base for then putting your eyeshadow on. So this brush is brilliant for concealer, for blending any sort of liquid on your eye. And if you wanted to use the lid colour, the slightly shiny lid colour, all over your lid, I do the same. I put just a little bit on with the applicator, and then I actually would blend it with a clean one of these. It's really good for that product. So that is your concealer brush 4. I'm going to show you another brush. Now this is our eye and lip brush number 5. Now this is useful for concealing smaller areas, because sometimes if you've got a tiny little red mark or a broken capillary, just a little bit of an area around the nose, you might want a slightly more precise, smaller brush and to use for your concealer. Tiny bit of concealer just into the area, we talked about that, and then just tap it over with your finger. So this is brilliant for just little areas. You can also use this in a precise way for eyeshadow. If you are doing sort of a number 7 shape and you want a smaller brush, this is good to use. And it's also absolutely brilliant for lips, which I'm going to do at the end. You'll see I always look really different when I've got lipstick on. I look awful without my lipstick. It sort of finishes off the look, so I can't wait to put my lipstick on. So that is lip eye brush 5. The smaller the brush, the more sort of concentrated the colour application as well. So that's that one. I'm just going to mention again, going back to this one, if you use highlighter under your eye, the inbuilt brush is brilliant for the highlighter, but I sometimes also go back to the concealer brush and just blend it with this brush. So this is a great brush for all sorts of things. Okay, now eyeshadow. Eyeshadow, I'm just going to show you this. This is called our eyeshadow brush number 7. I love the bristles on this brush. I love the shape of this brush, and I use a couple of these. I know Tricia uses a couple of these when she puts her eye makeup on. This is great for doing a wash of colour all over with our no shimmer shades. Today I'm wearing sort of a warm peachy colour, and I have used terracotta, which is one of our new colours, and I've used this all over my lid area using this brush. It's really good for a good wash of colour, and it's very easy to use. It's very soft. It's also brilliant for blending. It's a great blender brush. So what I then did is I used Cocoa, which actually use this palette, which is the warm browns, and I use the Cocoa. And if you want to make it a little bit more precise, you can even hold the brush a little bit at the end just to kind of squeeze it together. Or, as I said, you can use the lip brush, the smaller one, to actually put a smaller, more precise shape. The other thing I occasionally do, I hope I'm not confusing you here, is if I want a really sharp line, I use a clean one of the concealer brush to make my number 7 shape. So there are 3 brushes that you can use, but I always use this one to blend because it's soft and slightly fluffier. When you blend, you kind of do it you can either do it like a sort of windscreen wiper effect into just above the socket line, or you can do it in a slightly circular effect. The key to eye makeup is blending. You can never, ever blend enough. I think when women put 2 colours on and it looks as though they've got 2 colours on their eyes and they look in the mirror and panic, I always say, don't panic, it's not finished. You haven't done everything and you haven't totally blended. Particularly when you're doing a sort of a smokier look or a darker look and you're using a slightly darker colour, then really, really blend well. Just keep on blending. And I'm blending out to in here so that I'm not dragging the product too low and down my face. So this is a great blending brush. Absolutely love this, can't be without it. And you can use a clean one to blend so that you're not putting more and more colour on. When you've got the right amount of colour on, if you want to blend, either just, if you haven't got to, just dust it off and make sure it's not got too much product in it, or have a clean one that you just use to blend constantly, whatever brush, whatever colours you're using. So that's a brilliant one. As I said, if you wanted a slightly more, a smaller brush, I put it down, and I can't find it now. Where is my brush? So many brushes here. The lip brush, it'll come to me. It will come back. Here it is. No, it's not. I'm losing it, losing the plot here. The smaller brush, the lip brush, you would basically put, you can put on a slightly more defined colour, but I would still blend with this one. Okay, wedge brush number 8. This is an absolute, I think, an essential brush for any woman that wants to apply eyeliner. Even if you are not, even if you are the sort of lady that loves pencil eyeliner, we don't sell pencil eyeliners because as you get older, sometimes pencil eyeliners can look too harsh. So using the darker colour, I've actually got chocolate here as my eyeliner. If you use a pencil eyeliner, can I still suggest that you try on top of that pencil eyeliner using brush number 8 with a darker eyeshadow, because then that will actually soften the look of the pencil eyeliner and hold it. It's like putting a powder on, so it will hold it and set it in place. So the way to use this is to think of, it's got a little, as you can see, a pointy bit. I'm going to take a little bit of chocolate. Now, I am right-handed. When I do my left eye, what I do is actually hold my eye. I don't do that, because if you do that, sometimes you get it in the wrong place if you drag it too much. So you don't want to change the shape of your eye, but just slightly hold it open. Then I take the brush, and what I do is have the pointy bit at the top so that you kind of wing it up and you just press it into the base of the lashes. For me, this makes the biggest difference on my overall eye makeup look because I've got quite fair lashes. I just never look finished until I have got my eyeliner onto the base of my lashes using eyeshadow. And as we talked about last week, it doesn't have to be perfect and precise. You just need to kind of get it on. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. You are creating the illusion of thicker, darker lash base, which will then frame your eyes really well. So I go out to in, winging it up slightly, about halfway across. You can bring it all the way across if you want to. I bring it about half, 3/4 of the way across. I also then, when I'm doing this eye, my right hand, I've shown you this tip before, but I struggle with this eye because I find it hard to shut my eye, it's very weird, and look through the other eye. So I actually have to close my eye forcibly with my finger. When you do that, you can see I cannot open my right eye now, and it's now got a nice smooth area for which I can now apply. Again, I start on the outside and I'm looking through that eye, but I've clamped it to my nose so that it's smooth. Because if it's all sort of wrinkled, you can't get a nice clean line. So that's how I do it. Again, so it's slightly wider going in. When you do the underneath, if you want to put eyeliner underneath, it's much easier because you can do it with your eyes open. I again start on the outer corner and I go, so it's slightly thicker on the outer corner, fading it so that it sort of fades into about halfway across. You can go all the way across if you want to. That will potentially could close your eyes up. It depends on how big or small your eyes are. But if anything, you want it a little bit more definition on the outer corners to make your eyes look sort of almond shaped. And again, I've got the corner of the brush upwards, just bringing it over. This is an invaluable brush. If I'm in a hurry and haven't got time to use bring back brow, I also can use this one in my brows, and I use taupe for me, and the colour taupe. I sometimes even do it over my bring back brow, but it's a really nice brush to use if you've already got some eyebrow. Great brush, Wedge Brush 8. Can't praise it enough. And make sure you keep it, you look after it, because you want it to stay quite fine. So when you're cleaning it, don't splay it out so that the brush hairs splay. You want to keep it in the shape that it's in. And that's where the brush roll that Tricia was talking about is really good to keep your brushes nice and safe in. So going back to brows, there are two things. Bring Back Brow Shape has its own inbuilt brush, and this is a very, very clever product because it has got the finest brush you can see. Now this is all about not being afraid of this one, and knowing how to hold it steadily. So I shake it first, always shake it, the product. Remember, it is a liquid so that you can't tip it up or it will spill. I also always take a little bit off on a tissue, or on my hand, just to make sure it's not too dark. And then with this, what I tend to do is you can actually paint on fine hairs in areas where you have gaps. And I rest my little finger on my cheek to give me some stability when I'm putting this on. Because otherwise you can sort of easily go all over the place. And as we get older, it's actually sometimes harder to hold things steadily. You might find you've got a little bit of arthritis in your fingers. Your sort of pincer action isn't quite as good. So if you can somehow rest it on your cheeks, you'll find you've got much more control with this product. Before you apply it, there is another brush I want to show you, which is this one, the Spoolie Brush. Now, even if you're not going to put any product on your eyebrows, you might find as you get older, your eyebrows get a little bit unruly. They can get long ones growing and they go in all different directions. This Spoolie Brush number 6, is brilliant for just taming them. So before I put my Bring Back Brow on, I brush upwards, and then I brush down to find out where the natural line is. Then I use my Bring Back Brow, and then the key to this product is afterwards to go back with this brush and soften it. And you'll find it changes the product completely and makes it look so much softer and so much more natural. So whether you wear anything on your brows or not, this is a really good grooming brush and essential, I think, if you're using this product. Love this brush. Okay, going on to slightly bigger brushes now, blusher brushes. Now, when I put blusher on, this is my peach cream blusher. I tend to put it on, because this is a cream to powder blusher. A lot of ladies, when they came into the shop, said, I can't get enough of this product out, it doesn't do anything. And with a little bit of investigation, I used to find that often they were just taking their blusher brush, putting it in and putting it on. With this product, you actually need, I think, to apply it with fingers to get the amount that you need. Then use your blusher brush. Slightly different to a powder blush, where you would put it on with a brush. But this one, I put it on with my fingers, and I basically pat it in and place it where I want it to go, which is for me in a sort of teardrop shape. But then this is a really nice brush. A lot of ladies, when they come for makeup lessons, show me their blusher brush, and it is enormous. And they say, oh, this is my blusher brush. It's something like this, which is our powder brush. And they just sort of do that. With a blusher brush, it needs to be a little bit smaller, just to create the right, and I actually hold my blusher brush at the bristles. I always joke that it's the only thing in my life that I am in control of, not my 3 sons or my cat. So I'm in control of my blusher brush so that I can, in a slightly circular motion, blend. And for me, if you do it too stripily, it can look as though you're wearing a stripe of blusher. So it just blends in the cream blush really well. I like, as you know, because I'm warm toned, to use a tiny bit of our bronzer actually over my blusher. You wouldn't do that if you were cool toned, but I love, and when I'm doing that, I still use the blusher brush to do that with, because I find I can get it in a more precise way. So it's a lovely brush. It's got really soft but quite dense bristles, so it doesn't scratch, but it just makes the blusher go in the perfect position, and it stays on all day. So that's this brush. That is blusher brush 2. Now we're going back into the big brush, which is powder brush number 1. So this is our biggest brush. It's a really nice brush. It's not a precise, you can't do precise work with a big brush, but what it allows you to do is to do big sort of swirly motions. So if you're putting powder on, you don't want powder to look caked. You want powder to be very fine. So if I'm doing an all over sort of powder, I will actually take a little bit of this and swirl it around and just powder over. If I want a precise powder, so I have, let's say I have concealed a spot on my cheek, or if I want to put a tiny bit of powder over my concealer, what I will actually then use is not this brush, but I will go back to using my eyeshadow brush number 7. This is really good for just spots, sort of just little areas. But if I want to do bigger areas, the swirlier motion, I would definitely use the big brush. This is also brilliant for bronzer. I think as we're all feeling a little bit pale and wan at the moment, bronzer is a brilliant way of just lifting your whole complexion. And even if you are cool toned, our bronzer definitely does work. I wouldn't wear it over the blusher like I've done, but I would wear it in the areas, just a little bit on your forehead, a little bit here. I might put a little bit on my cheekbones and as a contour to push back on my jaw. As you know, I always put a little bit under my nose to push my nose back up, which I like to do because dark pushes up. So where you naturally get a bit sun-kissed, you can even put a little bit on your eyes for a little quick bit of colour there. But I also, the big brush is really useful for doing the neck area. Your neck is often quite a bit lighter than everywhere else. And I find that sometimes a tiny bit of bronzer on your neck it doesn't come out this colour, it doesn't come out orange. It just gives you really nice bit of, just a little bit of colour, particularly when you're coming out of the winter. And that's a great brush to use for the neck. So really good for sort of overall movements. So that's powder brush number 1. So let's talk about lips as well. As we get older, a lot of ladies their lips become thinner. My lips have definitely, my top lip has definitely become thinner with age. So if you really want to make the most of your lips, can I definitely urge you to try using, I found my brush, you'll be pleased to know, a lip brush. So this is our lip or eye brush number 5. If you've never used a lip brush, do try it, because it does 2 things. It allows you to actually really get to the outer edge of your lips without you going over it, without you missing it. It allows actually more layers of lipstick to go on, because when you just take your lipstick from your bullet, it's quite hard to get the right amount on. It's great if you're in a hurry, and I do it. I'm not perfect. I don't always use a lip brush, if I'm honest with you, but if I want my lipstick to last longer and look more professional, I always use it, absolutely always. Now, I'm going to use, couldn't decide today, I had 2 lipstick choices with what I'm wearing. One is our new sort of nude, which is soft cinnamon, which is a really nice colour. And the other one, which is a lighter colour than I normally use, but actually a lot of ladies like this, it's tawny beige. And that actually works quite nicely with what I'm wearing. So I think I'm going to do 1 layer of tawny beige to show you. So you take quite a lot of product onto the brush. And the first thing I have done, I did that earlier, is I applied my lip prime, which is somewhere here, my lip prime. Don't make the mistake of putting the lip prime on your lips, thinking it's an underneath lipstick product. It's not. It's actually for the outer edges to stop the lipstick bleeding. So make sure you actually put it on the outer edge of your lip and let it dry. So lipstick, how to do this is, again, I find, because my lips are a little bit thinner, if you do that, a bit weird, I know, but if you sort of press here, you can really get into the nooks and crannies. And I start actually at the Cupid's bow, and then I bring it down. This is quite a nude colour, so I hope you can see it. I might put a bit more on. Then I go, so what I'm doing actually is outlining my lips. As though I'm putting a lip liner on, I'm doing that with my brush rather than a lip liner. Then underneath, and then I'm going to fill it in. So you can sort of see there's a little bit of line there. What you don't want is a lot of gunky lipstick here. So don't put loads of lipstick right in that inner corner, because that will look a bit sort of messy. So just again. So that's very natural colour. I am going to be a bit bolder, I think, and show you the other one. So that's tawny beige. So what I would then do is take a split tissue, and we talked about that on another video call. I put a split tissue, put a bit of powder through to set my first layer, maybe put a little bit of powder on, then I put a second layer on. So this is our newest one, Soft Cinnamon, which is really nice. I'm just going to put that as a second layer just to show you a different colour. If you've got thin lips, you don't want a really, really dark colour. You don't want to go above your lip line, but you want to make sure that you've gone to the actual lip line. Don't waste a single millimetre. And that's just allows a little bit more precision. And you can just build up your layers with a lip brush much, much more easily than you can with a bullet. So that sort of gives you an idea. That sort of matches quite nicely with what I'm wearing. If you're going to use a gloss, you don't really need to use a lip brush because you've got your inbuilt applicator for the gloss. And as I said, I'm going to just use, again, Cinnamon Kiss just in the centre, just to create a little bit of shape and shading, which sort of hopefully will bring my makeup all together. So that is a lip brush. Really, really important for keeping your lipstick on, putting it on properly, making sure you get right into the outer edge. Again, don't put too much in the little corner bits here. So finally, a little tip, just Tricia's talked about the brush roll. What I would say is when we can go traveling again, this is brilliant to take your lipstick, to take all your brushes in. And what I do is I also put in things like my nail file, some cotton buds, my tweezers, which just fell on the floor. So I put a few more extra bits in, and I find that's a really good thing to have, not only just to keep at home, but when you are traveling, you can put all sorts, if you use nail clippers or nail scissors, have those in there as well. It's just a really useful tool to have, and it keeps your brushes really in good condition. I think Tricia is going to talk a little bit about cleaning the brushes and drying them. Just one tip I wanted to say is when you dry your brushes, if you dry them standing up, occasionally the water will drip onto this area and can create a little bit of looseness of glue. So I would suggest you dry your brushes over the edge of something, so that the brush is maybe over the edge of a counter or over the edge of an edge like I don't know, your sink surface or a table. in air, flat that way rather than upwards, because you don't want any water to get really onto the handles or the metal sort of ferrule bits, because that might just loosen them. You want your brushes to last years and years and years, and if you look after them, they will. So I hope that helped with tips with brushes. I'll hand back to Tricia now.
Thank you, Sally. That was brilliant. Really enjoyed that. And thanks for going into the detail with the brushes there. I hope you found that elucidating. So I second what Sally is saying about traveling. The good thing about having this in a suitcase is that if your brushes are a bit manky because you've used them, and let's face it, they get product on them, of course this protects whatever else you've got in your suitcase from being stained or anything by the makeup that you've got on your brushes. So it's very useful from that point of view as well. I just thought it might be helpful to just to finish talking a little bit about cleanliness of brushes. Now I know this worries quite a lot of you because, you know, obviously at the moment we're washing our hands like crazy. We're very conscious of surfaces and all that kind of thing. And if you're a makeup artist, you have to sterilize, clean, and make sure that all brushes are thoroughly cleansed from one person to the next. But that is not true if you're only using your brushes on yourself. And I think if you certainly don't need to wash your brushes every day, and if you do wash them every day, it's very difficult, what Sally was just saying, that glue that holds the top bit to the handle of the brush doesn't get affected by the water. Now I just keep super glue anyway to repair stuff. I'm always repairing my earrings with super glue, and I just put a little bit of super glue on and put them back in again. It doesn't bother me at all because it does happen. I know sometimes people will send their brushes back to us if they've come apart fine, and we invariably replace them for you. Anyway, brushes. We were approached. I want to tell you about this product. It's really funny sometimes running a business like ours. We were approached by this guy who called us up and he said, "I keep a lot of goats." Right, fine. And he said, and I've developed a whole load of products which are for soaps and things like that, using goat's milk. And you know, not like Cleopatra bathed in ass's milk, so not ass's milk, but goat's milk. And he said, I have developed this really beautiful makeup brush cleaner. Are you interested? Anyway, he sent it to us to try. He has since developed another one, which is actually vegan, so it doesn't use any animal products at all. But I sometimes wish we had, you know, you could smell this because it smells, I would hold it up for you to come in and smell it. It smells divine. So he's now developed this product for us. And what I love about it, now you can wash your brushes with washing up liquid, you can wash your brushes with shampoo, you can wash your brushes with hard soap if you want to, or you can get some of our lovely brush cleaner. And the reason I love it is because the way that you use it is you put it under the tap and you fill this reservoir up with water, with warm water. You then put your brush on, swirl it round until it gets really covered in the soap like this. So you've got wetness and soap. And then what I do is I rub them onto my hand and get as much of the product off the brush as I possibly can. Then I rinse them and have a look, see if they still need a bit more. So wet again and round. What's good is you then keep all the mess inside this container. And I mean, these little pots of brush cleaner, I suppose it depends on how often you use them, but they do last a really lovely long time. When you've cleaned your brushes very thoroughly and rinsed them, they smell divine with that stuff on. I'm, again, with Sally, I will put these onto hot radiators, but I'll put them on top of a towel if I'm in a hurry to get my brushes dry. Anyway, you dry them, make sure you get as much water out as you possibly can. And lo and behold, you've got lovely clean brushes. I probably wash my brushes no more than once a week, and sometimes a little bit longer. And like Sally, I quite like it when my brushes have already got a bit of product on them. I find that with my blusher brush. I also find that with my foundation brush. And from the point of view of sterilization, microbes, you know, nasties that you might have in your brush, they're your own. You know, you can't infect yourself. they're part of what's already on your skin. So I'm not too purist about that, but your face does get covered in pollution and just dirt during the day, which of course you then cleanse off at night. So I hope that was helpful. You do ask questions down below, because we will take questions now. In fact, we will. I'll go to Bryony now and just see if there are any questions there from people watching.
So a few questions about the offer that we've got on this week. Just to answer those, so Jill has asked, does the offer just apply to lipstick or lip gloss? It's just on lipstick this week. And also someone has also mentioned saying that they saw a comment on Super Troopers that the lipstick offer was only available in 2 colours, but it's not. It is across our whole lipstick range. So if you spend over £40 today, this week, you do get a free lipstick with the code LIP40. So a question from Christine. She wants to know, Tricia, what colour eyeshadow and lipstick are you wearing today?
Okay, so lipstick is Very Berry, which is a lipstick colour that I absolutely love. On my screen, looking at this, it looks pinker than it is in real life. I think this is quite a purpley pink, Very Berry, and it goes really well with my top. On my eyes, I did a bit of a number with the purples palette today, so I put the lilac on my eyelid, and then I used the aubergine. So I used the aubergine in that shape here, using my number 7 brush, and then I used the aubergine again with the wedge brush along my lash line. So I've sort of complemented what I'm wearing. This top that I've got on has got this. I'll stand up and show you. It's got this this decorative bit at the top, and then underneath my bust, it's plain pink. It's this colour, quite a bright pink. And so I've kind of, and my earrings are obviously the same sort of purpley pink, and I've tried to complement what I'm wearing with the makeup colours that I've chosen. So I hope you like that effect.
Perfect. She said that you look fab. So
thank you. I actually treated myself to this this cardigan thing at the weekend. I was talking last week to Gail Rolfe about fashion and how I'm desperate to buy some new clothes. I'm sick and tired of all my clothes, and I am sick and tired of, I've dragged the same old jumper out of the wardrobe and think, oh. Anyway, I've got a friend. I know you'll want to know this, but and you'll ask if I don't tell you. And it isn't very helpful, I'm afraid, but I have a friend, she may be on this call, I don't know. Her name's Barbara Crisp, and she's a style consultant. And she rang me up. She said, I saw your interview with Gail Rolfe. Now, Barbara imports Italian clothes, and I've had several pieces from her, and I have to say that they're some of the nicest things I've got in my wardrobe, and I wear them for years. They're beautiful quality. Anyway, she said, I've got some things, and she said, if you want to, I'll make a couple of bags up for you. Come to my house and get them, take them home. So I brought home 2 IKEA bags full of clothes, basically. I mean, what pleasure is that? And I got them all out and tried. I found 3 things that I really liked out of she probably gave me 20 or 30 pieces. This was one of them, which I immediately thought, oh, I like that. The other is a V-neck jumper, which has got slight sparkles in it. And the other is a pair of beautiful trousers. I mean, they're just so lovely, navy blue trousers. So yeah, I felt thoroughly chuffed on Saturday. And then she's going to come and pick up the bag again. So we didn't have any problems with COVID restrictions. So yeah, in case you wanted to know, but I can't give you a brand because it's not something that I think you're going to be able to find anywhere. But anyway, made me feel better on Saturday, I can assure you. Anything else, Bryony?
A couple of questions just about the brushes and the brush cleaner. Jill wants to know, once you use the brush cleaner, should you be wiping the top of the brush cleaner after cleaning your brushes?
Just rinse it with some hot water.
Okay,
yeah, just rinse it off. Yeah, you'll find it will rinse off very easily because it's just superficial and on the top. The makeup doesn't get into the soap.
Perfect. And like you said, for holding the brush closer to the bristles, Sally, the foundation brush is very soft. Sue would love to know, should she be holding it nearer the bristles for better application for foundation?
I personally do, yes. I mean, you don't have to, it depends, but I find I'm holding it kind of like that so that I am little bit more in control of it. But you'll find as it has a little bit of product in it, it does get stiffer anyway, naturally. When you're sort of buffing, you don't need to so much, but when you're actually putting it on, I definitely hold it a little bit nearer the bristles, on the bristles even, with clean hands.
And then a question from Anita. She said, what about tight lining? Would that work with powder? Her eyes are quite hooded, so the line just disappears when she does it above the lashes.
No, you can't use powder in your inner. Tight lining is where you put eyeliner actually on the inner line of the top lashes. So for that, you would need to use a pencil. In fact, I use a make called Eye of Horus, which is a very natural, if you're going to do it, natural brand that you can put just in that area. But there are other ways. I don't know whether Anita has seen the video on the hooded eye. We did that a few weeks ago, didn't we? I think Tricia, that might help to look at that. But no, you couldn't use powder. It would just be too bitter. You couldn't use it on the inner rim, but you know, definitely not.
And then just one final question from Carol. I think you did actually mention this earlier, but in terms of our lipstick range, what lipsticks would you suggest as a more neutral lipstick?
Certainly Rosewood is a very useful neutral. That's Rosewood. In fact, soft coral can actually be used for warm or cools. That's a really pretty one too. Let me show you soft coral. It's a little bit more pinky. It looks more pinky on screen than it is. So that's good too. The one that I use, the first one that I use, the tawny beige or the cinnamon, the latest one that I showed you. Where are they? So again, soft cinnamon. That's again quite a good neutral colour. You can see that. And tawny beige is another fairly neutral colour. So hopefully between those, hopefully you'll find one of those would work really well. And you've got your 30-day money-back guarantee anyway to try them. So
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Rosewood's a really good one. You know, a colour that if you wanted that slightly no makeup look.
Rosewood.
Yeah, Rosewood. Yeah, Rosewood works really well. It's a sort of very delicate pinky brown, and it's got just enough pink in it, but just enough of that sort of real nudie shape. And the soft cinnamon, the new one's called soft cinnamon, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Both brilliant.
Yeah, that they are both colours that are quite sophisticated. They're really nice. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That is then, Bryony.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much indeed, Bryony, and thank you to all of you for watching. I've seen 1 or 2 comments down here saying how much you enjoy these sessions, so we enjoy them too. It's a lovely way to start a Monday morning for me. It gets me up on a Monday morning feeling a bit brighter than I would do otherwise. So I love to have your company and really appreciate you all coming in. Don't forget Lip 40 for that offer. You get a free lipstick. Our lipsticks are our lipsticks £20, Bryony?
Yeah, they're £20.
Yeah, so you effectively get a free lipstick worth £20, and it is across our entire range, and it is the full size. You know, you're not getting a little tiny sample size or anything like that. Let me just tell you about the week in prospect, because we've got a lovely week coming up. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm doing an All About Me with a lovely, wonderful super trooper called Joan Packard, who is involved in a charity that helps Belarusian children. That area was affected by Chernobyl, the fallout from the what happened there. You all know about that, and so she's got a great tale to tell. Joan, who lives down in St Ives in Cornwall. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Joan, who's absolutely delightful. That's tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock live Zoom. On Wednesday, I'm doing a session with Leonie, and it's going to be delicious lunches. Now I'm just finding myself being revolutionized by Leonie. I'm actually cooking. It's unheard of. I'm chopping vegetables. That's also unheard of. I made her ratatouille and mince for Saturday, and it was delicious. I can't tell you. And yesterday I made her chocolate ice cream. Basically, you freeze a banana, and you then add in some real cocoa powder, and what else did I put? A little bit of milk, and you know, blitz it, and I popped it back in the freezer, and well, I can't say it was exactly like chocolate ice cream, but it was delicious. So Leonie's really revolutionising both my eating and also my cooking. So thank you to her. And all her videos are on from day one. You know, from the first one, I think there are about 8 now, and they're all just so brilliant. I can't tell you, and very, very, very healthy, packed with vegetables, vitamins, and all the other goodies that you need. That's Wednesday. Thursday, I must tell you this is hilarious. On Film Club last Friday, somebody said to me, "Oh, Tricia, I did your core exercises yesterday. They're really difficult," she said. "I don't know how you did them. I felt sick all the way through." There you go. Recommendation for my tone-up sessions with Lindsay. I hope that they don't make you sick, but the point is that they are designed to do, you know, what you need to do to keep moving, to keep functional, to have your body in as peak condition as you can possibly have. And believe me, if I can do those exercises, you know, I'm no athlete, I'm no sports person. I'm just a 73-year-old woman who is determined not to get all stiff and creaky if I can avoid it. And then Friday we've got Film Club. Our film this week, let me try and remember what it is. It's Who You Think I Am, Juliette Binoche, French film, and it's a very interesting modern take on a woman who is 50 years old who gets dumped for a younger version, a younger model, and what she does about it. Which includes social media. So it's an interesting film, and Juliette Binoche is absolutely brilliant in it. So there you go, packed week. Hope you'll join me for at least some of those. And again, thank you to Sally, thank you to Bryony for all the techie stuff, and thank you to all of you for coming along. And I hope we've started your week in a really good way. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.